Hey guys, just a heads up before we get started, you will need BlenderKit, the plugin for this video. You can find it at blenderkit.com and I'll include the link in the description. There's a very simple set of instructions on here on how to download it and install it, so it really only takes 2 seconds. I'd like to thank Severed Archive for suggesting this to me a while back. If he hadn't have suggested this to me, my 3D journey would have been 10 times harder. So yeah, go check him out on Instagram or YouTube. Okay, so we've created our 3D object. Looking good. So first of all, you can go down 2 routes for making this chrome. As a graphic designer, I'm not the best texturer in the world, but I have my workarounds. So if I select this, I'm going to go to material down here, and there's already one here, SVG matte. It's applied to all SVG files for some reason. I'm going to press this minus button to get rid of it. We're going to create a new one, and metallic we're going to turn all the way up, and roughness almost all the way down, but up a little bit. So now if we look at the material shader, we can see that it is looking chrome. If we go to this option here, this is how you can see what your object will look like, or an estimation of what your object will look like in render view. Now at the moment it's looking very dark, and that's because there's no lighting. If you installed BlenderKit correctly, there should be a new bar along here. Yeah, I want to make your life 10 times easier. We're going to select HDRs, and what HDRs do is they basically create real world lighting using an image surrounding the object. I'll show you. So if we just type into here studio, because I want a studio setting, I like this one, and we just drag it into the scene. Just click OK. It's like we're in a studio. And the lighting creates these beautiful reflections off of the object. Now, there are 2 engines in Blender: Cycles and Eevee. Make sure you're in Cycles for this one, for the best results. Now, I like the reflections we're getting from this, and I like the light that it's emitting, but I don't like this photo, this 360 photo around it. You know, you might, but I really just want the lighting from this while keeping like a blank canvas. To solve this, we're going to go to the render tab, we're going to go down to film, and we're going to tick transparent. Problem solved. Look at that. Now BlenderKit isn't just good for HDRs. You can get objects, you can get materials, you can get scenes, HDRs and brushes. I mainly use it for HDRs and textures. For example, this chrome texture that I've created is pretty cool, and it will do the job, but if you want to take it even further, let's type chrome in. There's chrome textures with a little bit more to them. You know, this one's quite rusty. You know, let's try this one. They're all very similar, and I've shown you how to create your own chrome texture. But see, look, this one has a tiny bit more texture to it, you know. I want to stick with this one maybe. And I think something that makes being a graphic designer in 3D much easier is to use BlenderKit textures maybe, but then go into the shading tab up here and take a look at what they did to achieve that. You know, was part of this based on the base color? Yep, see? So their base colour was more of a grey. This is why it looks kind of darker as well as metallic. Or if, for example, we take a look at this one. Yeah, this is a much more advanced texture, but what you can do is tweak existing textures and create cool stuff through tweak. It's like a huge time saver, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I quite like this. This looks kind of cool. But let's think about how we're going to render this. We're going to need a camera. So we press Shift A to add a new object. And we're going to click camera. Okay? Okay, so at the moment it's over here. I'm going to press G to grab it. I'm going to move it along the Y axis by tapping Y and moving my mouse. Okay? I want it to be a square camera when it renders, you know, like a square canvas. So if I go to this output option here, click it. Let's do 1920 by 1920. And if you press 0 on your number pad, you'll look through the camera, yeah? At the moment, it's not facing where I want it to. So let's come out of this by moving the camera. And let's go to the object properties. And just like we did with this, we can change the way this is facing and the position it's in through changing these properties. You can do it just by pressing R and rotating it and grabbing it and moving it around with G. But I feel you're going to get... I feel that this is a lot more finicky, and it's not necessary. For example, let's use the numbers on here to reset where the camera's facing. So look, if we press 0 on all of the rotation options, okay, so it's facing downwards now that I've made them all 0. But if I want to rotate it on the x-axis, if I just click on rotation, go on x, 90, it's now facing, yeah? Press 0 on the number pad, perfect. And if I tick camera to view here, which you can find in the view tab, I can adjust it. Maybe if I scroll out a bit, maybe if I zoom in a bit, yeah? I'm going to show you another cool way to set up some lighting. Let's press Shift A and go to Mesh and create a cube, yeah? Let's press S to scale it. We're going to make it so that it surrounds my object, okay? Now let's go back to the solid viewport and press Tab on this cube to edit it. We're going to hover over this side at the bottom, press Control R, and it will do this, yeah? I'm going to scroll once so that it creates 2 of these lines. This is called a loop cut, by the way. Then I'm going to left click and left click once again, yeah? I'll do the same on this side. And we'll do the same on this side. Okay, and it goes all the way around. Okay, now I'm going to drag over this corner, X vertices. I'm going to drag over this corner, X vertices. And let's just keep doing this. You can switch to faces up here if you just want to delete faces, X, or select faces, sorry, and then press X and faces. And what I'm doing is I'm creating a light box around my object. If you have any questions, by the way, make sure you ask in the comments. I'm honestly happy to help. I'm no expert, but I've been learning a lot lately. Okay, so you're going to make it so that, look, there's one above, one below, and squares on either side. Okay, then we go back to object mode. And let's maybe scale these out a bit. Okay. Then we're going to go to their material properties. Yeah. We're going to make a new material. We're going to go to emission down here. We're going to ramp it up a bit. Let's make it like 5. And as you can see, it's creating like the emission means that light is coming from either side. So if I make this, say, the strength, say 10, it's brighter. Okay. But now we have another problem. If you press 0 to go to the camera, the lights are in the way. So how can we keep their emission, but also hide them? It doesn't quite work the same way as it did with the HDR. But it is very simple. We're going to select them. We're going to click on Object Properties. We're going to go to Visibility and untick Camera. So it's not visible from the camera. However, the lighting is still visible. Okay? And we could even click these and let's ramp it up. Let's go back to the material section and let's change the strength to 100. Yeah, maybe a bit less. Let's go for 80. You know, you can still select them while they're not visible. And if we go back to the viewport, the object shader, they're still there. Before we render, make sure the max samples for your render here in the render tab is at something low. You know, I'm going to go for 100 because if it's too high, you'll be waiting all night for it to render and you don't want that. So now, let's imagine everything's set up how you want it, you know. So, oh yeah, this looks cool. Let's imagine you want to take it back into Photoshop or something and, you know, use it for a design. We'll go to Output. And here, we're going to choose where it's going to save to. So you just press this folder and say I'm fine with it going to my temp files. And I want it to save as a PNG. I don't want any compression. Yep, and then you want to go to render image, or just F12. Press that. And you want to wait for your samples to be 100 out of 100. And that's how you know it's done. And yeah, that's how you make really cool 3D graphics out of vectors to be used in your graphic design. I really hope I've been helpful. If you have any questions at all, please just drop a comment. I'm happy to help. And yeah, enjoy.